Thanks for joining in, everybody. At the end of the last Blood episode, I had jokingly said, oh, what would be an awesome double feature would be Commando and Cobra. And then when we were trying to come up with movies for our next recording session, I had the brilliant idea, well, hell, why don't we do that? So here's our discussion of the double feature that we did on Cobra and Commando. And first up is Schwarzenegger in 1985's Commando.
This is one of those films that I think we both grew up on this. This is like our, I always say like Sylvester Stallone to me, and I know this is an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, but Sylvester Stallone was my John Wayne. You know, like the generations before us, they always kind of toss him out as like the main kind of action hero guy that you go to, or Clint Eastwood even. And for us, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. And Commando was one of those, gosh, it was one of those larger-than-life, fun, mid-'80s, makes no sense whatsoever action films that you got to love it because it's just complete and total entertainment, you know, from the beginning to the end.
When I used to watch this movie all the time as a kid, yeah, it was one of those ones I was just like, oh, this is so awesome. It's so awesome. And I still watch it all the time. I had said before in a previous episode that this is one of my guilty pleasures, even though I guess it technically doesn't need to be a guilty pleasure. But I do watch Commando, you know, probably once a year at least, if not more.
Cool.
You know, I love it. It's so good. It's so cheesy, so over the top. But I do have to say that there is one little piece of this movie that does kind of give me the willies when I watch it now compared to when I was a kid. And I just want to put this out there, and I want to put this thought in your head. I want to put this thought in everybody else's head. And then, Arnie, if you're listening to this, if you could let me know the answer to the question that I'm going to ask, that would be great. But the one thing that always gives me the willies in this every time I watch it now is you have Arnold Schwarzenegger and Alyssa Milano at the beginning of the opening montage of the movie, and they kiss on the lips like 4 times, and I'm always kind of like, ugh, that's kind of whose idea was that? You know, was the director like, all right, then you're gonna kiss her on the lips? You know, this like 35-year-old man kissing this 12-year-old girl. I mean, I know they're supposed to be dad and daughter or whatever, but still, you're kind of like, oh, that's kind of creepy and weird. But here's the question that I have for Arnold Schwarzenegger. So now that Alyssa Milano is like whatever, 45 or whatever, and still smoking hot, does Arnold ever see anything with Alyssa Milano and go, hey guys, guess what? I used to kiss her back in the day.
Oh, too funny. Yeah, she looked pretty young back then. My goodness. She was like probably, 12, 13 years old or something like that.
Yeah, this came out in 85? So it was filmed in like 84, 85, I guess. And I want to say that she was born in 72.
Ah. Yeah, it's funny because, you know, we recently did an episode on Last Blood and the last Rambo movie, and I was reading a review or something or a comment, and somebody compared some of the opening scenes of Last Blood to Commando, like the scenes where Stallone is on the horse with his niece, and they're talking, and it's all this kind of like, you know, real emotional, like, oh, I'm gonna miss you when you're gone in college, blah blah blah, and you know, that kind of thing, and it was very similar to this, where it's like you get this whole opening scene with Commando, where it's like, you know, him and his daughter, you know, feeding deer together, swimming, and he's throwing around in the pool and
making out with her.
Making out with her, yeah. And all these kind of this funny little montage that they have at the beginning, and it's like, you know, I mean, if you were like to open, like, imagine if you were to like grab the VHS of Commando, you know, and you turned it around in the back, and you know how they always have like a still of the stills from the film, and one of the stills, imagine if it was him and his daughter like feeding a deer, you'd be like, what the hell? What is this about? Yeah, so it's just kind of funny. It starts off real soft like that, and then it gets into, kind of in a pretty intense action film. It starts out where there's these assassinations that are occurring. Guy taking out his garbage, and then he gets machine gunned down, and then you've got the guy at the car lot, and he goes to buy a car, and then he kills the salesman, and then you've got the one guy who ends up, he's sort of the head of this group, and anyhow the whole point is that Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, he like ran this group of like, what were they, like military, like some sort of black ops kind of operation, and
right,
they all are like kind of basically faking their death. They're trying to kill like the main guy. He's trying to fake his death. And where am I going with this?
I have no idea. You kind of went off on a little.
I might have lost it. I'm losing it a little bit here, but it's like, so he's okay. So and they want to make it look like he's dead, but then they go and kidnap his daughter, and they're, in order for Arnold to get his daughter back, he has to assassinate. Was it a president? I can't remember.
Yep.
Okay, president of some little country somewhere.
Right.
And so they take Alyssa Milano, and then Arnold's got to follow their instructions, and of course Arnold Schwarzenegger in 1985, he's not going to do that, and it's just an action film from there on. Him going to get his daughter on his terms.
The cool thing that they do in this movie, which, I mean, it's not the first time it's ever been done, but it is a little, like, kind of smart the way that, they wrote it into this one, because, so Schwarzenegger's got to kill this president guy, so he's supposed to board this plane and fly to this country, and he finds out how long the flight is supposed to be, which was like 11 hours or 12 hours or whatever it is. And then he like escapes the plane. And so he has like 12 hours to do all of this stuff, to rescue his daughter, which is, I always thought was kind of cool. He's got the little stopwatch on his wristwatch, and, you're counting down the time. Although I will say the one thing with it is it was only like 11 hours or whatever, and I think that it went from light to dark to light to dark to light to dark like 18 times in the movie, though.
And speaking of that time when he gets off of that plane, that is a really cool scene. I mean, you got to think of like whoever the stuntman was that did that. Basically, he somehow gets off of onto the landing gear of the plane, and like while the plane is taking off, and then he's like hanging onto the landing gear, or the front landing gear, and then just drops into the swamp.
Yeah,
that's kind of the start of it. And it's like, that was a cool stunt. I remember even as a kid thinking, "Whoa, that's crazy."
And I'm pretty sure that's like a real person. They didn't just like drop a dummy either, because the way he falls, you can be like, "Whoa, yeah."
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Yeah, he typically, if they dropped a dummy, you could kind of tell that the body doesn't move right and all that, especially in the 80s. And yeah, it looked like it was a real guy. Yeah,
there's a couple of things in this movie that they're so over the top, but they're so great. Even when you're watching them now, whatever, man, 30, almost 35 years later. But you have the whole, like, there's like the action sequence in the mall that is just over the top and great. You have
the mall scene is one of the best scenes.
Oh man, you have the car chase scene, and then the car flips over. And my favorite thing though with the whole like car chase stuff is whoever the girl, I can't remember her name. I don't even know if they actually even ever said her name.
I don't think she had a name. She was just there. But there was no, like the girl that he basically kind of forces this girl to help him in sort of like in the beginning, he right. And then she ends up turning and saying, "Okay, I want to help you, and I want to help you get your daughter back." So she kind of becomes like like a kidnapped victim, basically, who ends up wanting to partner with him.
But she's driving like this MG or something, and he rips the seat out, but somehow he's still sitting as tall as she is in the car. I'm like, what?
I know. That's cool.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff in the movie, like when you're watching it, after you watch it so many times, you pick up like on all the little stuff, because there's like the one scene where he's hanging Sully over the cliff before he drops him, and if you pay attention to that, you can totally see like the rig that's hooked up to Sully's ankle.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to go back and look at that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like little stuff like that. You're kind of like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't ever catch that before.
Interesting. No, I did not notice that at all. Not too funny. Yeah, I thought going back to that mall scene. I mean, that scene is just amazing in my opinion. That's where he's basically chasing, or he's following this guy Sully, who's the guy who's supposed to, he's supposed to meet, or who was supposed to watch him board the plane. And if he finds out that if he sees him, then he's going to know that he never boarded the plane. Then he's going to go make a phone call and and have his daughter killed. And so anyway, he's following Sully, to obviously to find out where his daughter is and all of that. And they're in this shopping mall, and Sully sees him, like there's, because the security start to question Arnold because he's like, I don't know, he looks off, and then there's this big fight that breaks out, and Sully finds out. But there's this amazing scene where Arnold like rips off this like I don't know, what is it, like what do they call it, like a floater or something?
Yeah, it's weird. But it's almost like a balloon, so you're kind of like balloon, yeah. I would not want to swing from that.
Yeah, and he swings from like the top of the second floor of the mall, and then like lands on the top of the glass elevator. And it's like and those are all like real stunts. None of this is CGI. This is all somebody actually had to do that, and just a really cool scene. That whole mall scene is just amazing.
And then you have a little bit later in the movie where they get busted, which is kind of funny because they are essentially robbing this army surplus / like gun store. Mm-hmm. Him and the girl. I swear I don't remember them ever saying her name, and that maybe she didn't have a name. I don't know.
I don't think she did have a name.
They are loading up their car with all the stuff from the army surplus store, and the cops bust in, and they bust Arnold, but somehow she gets away. And one of the things that they take is they had taken a rocket launcher, and so she uses the rocket launcher to blow up the paddy wagon that Arnold is being held in, which is just freaking. I mean, that scene's cool. I mean, the whole thing is cool. You get to the end when they're on like the little island, and you have this like. I mean, it seems like it's a 25-minute long thing. It's probably only like 4 minutes or something. But this action sequence of like Arnold just running around the island, just shooting everybody.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's like the whole like finale where he finally gets onto that island. And then that one scene too. I remember as a kid, like one of the scenes, like it seemed like Commando and Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 must have been like back to back constantly on rotation on cable back in 1985 or 86 or whatever, because I remember everybody talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 as a kid and all the gory scenes in that, and then all them talking about all the scenes, the gory scenes from Commando. And I remember like the scene that everybody talked about, like the notorious scene as a kid, which I remember when I finally saw the movie, I was like, oh, this is it. This was the scene, was the shed scene when Arnold like goes out and hides in this like garden shed. And then like they all come into all these, the soldiers come in to get him. And he uses basically all the rakes and machetes and blades and everything just to kill all those soldiers.
Yeah. And he chops the one guy's arm off.
Chops the guy's arm off, and then he scalps the one guy with like that.
Oh yeah, with the saw blade.
Saw blade, yeah. Throws it at him. Yeah, that was like probably like one of the more gory scenes of that whole film, was that just everything that goes on in that shed.
And again, this was coming out in the mid 80s, so if a horror movie would have done the same thing, that would have been cut.
Oh yeah,
down to nothing,
so
which was so weird.
Crazy, yeah, because 85 would have been Friday 5. So
Yeah.
I wonder which one, like how badly that one was cut compared to what Commando. This Friday 5 wasn't terribly cut, I don't think. I think it was 6 was beat 6 and on were kind of torn apart.
Yeah, I think when you get like past the mid '80s is when stuff really got bad.
Yeah,
Because, well, I mean, you look at, I mean, this is the horror section of the show, I guess, but like when you look at Friday 4, the final chapter, I mean, you have the machete scene in that, which is probably one of the most gory, cringe-worthy scenes in any of the Friday movies.
yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean,
Right.
I've said on here 100 times about the scene in Hellraiser giving me the willies where the guy scrapes the back of his hand on the nail, but I don't know what it is with stuff. I mean, people getting their heads cut off and all that stuff, it doesn't bug me, but that scene with Jason sliding down the machete, it's like, oh my God. It's like instant brain freeze or something.
Right.
It's like, oh, that
You can feel it.
had to hurt. But anyway, back to John Matrix. What's funny is I always thought that this movie was like sort of a response to Rambo.
Yeah,
And-
I felt the same exact way.
And at least according to Wikipedia, it's not. Supposedly, which I guess this kind of makes sense too, which is kind of weird, again, when we go back to our like Rambo discussions, because, I mean, we watched this movie when we were kids, but this movie was, instead of being like, well, I guess kind of inadvertently a response to Rambo, which I guess Rambo probably sort of follows these same lines. Commando, I guess, was more of a response to the success of G.I. Joe, the cartoon.
Oh,
And I never knew this until today when I was just kind of looking at some stuff. I guess there was a whole line of like, oh, well, not a whole line, but there was like toys and stuff for Commando back in the day. Which
I don't think my brother had the the doll of Commando. That was the only thing I really knew of it. It was like it was like a 12, maybe 14-inch doll, and it had like all the weapons and everything. It was a really cool toy. I wish we still had that, but
yeah, I guess there was a whole series of like the probably 3 3/4 inch guys, and then there was some like 8-inch ones, and then there was like, I guess then there was like a really big one, like a 18-inch John.
That's the one.
Yeah, just a huge
that's the one we had. Yep, that's the one my brother had.
Yeah, it's just so weird, and I wonder if if you go back and actually do some research or talk to anybody that even worked on Rambo First Blood Part 2, was that the same thing with that movie? There was oh man, we already have this character, and G.I. Joe is doing such a great job. Let's get this movie out there, and then let's make all these toys and all this other bullshit.
The weird thing about the reason I always thought Commando was like a ripoff of Rambo as a kid. I always thought that.
Right.
I enjoyed Commando, but there were some things that really, to me, totally stuck out as ripoff. And one of them, well, for one, you've got the muscle-clad hero guy with his shirt off,
whose name is John.
And then, but the two things that really stuck out to me was that the John Matrix character has a Rambo survival knife.
Yeah.
Which is so bizarre and it's it's clearly the same type of knife with the serrated one, the serrated spine, and he never opens up the handle or anything, but that. And then the other thing that was really weird is that in Rambo First Blood Part 2, one of the most iconic scenes is when he lands the helicopter and goes to save the POWs, and he's got the M60 machine gun that he pulls off of the helicopter, and he wraps the bullet strap around his wrist, and he's going around shooting all the Viet Cong guys. Well, John Matrix uses the exact same gun and does the exact same thing. And it's what? That just, to me, that's why I always thought it was a B version of Rambo. And it was an enjoyable B version. And I still, to this day, kind of feel that way. It's it seems like it was Oh, this and that. But then when you look at it, they both came out in the same year, only a few months apart. Now Rambo was first, so I'm wondering if because they couldn't have thrown it together that quickly, unless somebody just saw something. Maybe somebody on the set of Rambo was like, "Hey, this is what they're doing. Here we got to quickly throw this movie together and let's get Arnold to do it and all that."
Yeah, and I've always wondered too if did Arnold and Sylvester Stallone. I mean, were those guys like buddies back in the day, or did they actually have like any sort of rivalry? Or
there was a rivalry, I believe, back in their prime, and they didn't become buddies until later, from what I understand.
Because I could see like that. I mean, it's Hollywood and stuff, so you could definitely probably have somebody with some inside knowledge of like, yeah, Stallone's doing a follow up to that First Blood movie, and this is what he's doing.
Right.
Oh, cool. Yeah, let's do the same thing. So I could kind of see that because, yeah, I always kind of felt the same way. But like I said before, I mean, I love Commando. I actually probably like Commando more than any of the Rambo movies outside of First Blood. I mean, it's just one of those, I just love it.
It's just a fun movie.
Yeah, it's great. Except for the weird pedophile stuff that goes on at the very beginning. Arnold's going to be like, oh, these guys. I can't do a good Arnold impersonation, otherwise I would.
Well, and I do have to give a mention to something in Commando that I remember as a small kid, what was that, like third, fourth, fifth grade, whenever I first saw it, I was just like, really? And I remember like being completely blown away, and I could not believe what I was seeing. To me, it was like, that can't be real. Literally, I thought to myself, like, there's no way what I'm seeing is real. That must be like a special effect or a prosthetic or something like that. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Back then, at that time, I swear that movie has the biggest boobs ever in a film. The scene where John Matrix is fighting the one guy.
Oh yeah,
in the hotel.
Yeah, which is so weird. So now here's another thing to go back to if you're going to revisit the movie with that scene. I almost completely forgot about this scene. Again, this comes from multiple viewings over 35 years of this movie. Is when John Matrix and whoever that dude are fighting, and he's like, this Green Beret's going to kick your ass, and then he's like, I eat Green Berets for breakfast. And then my favorite thing of that scene is the girl, again, the nameless girl.
Her name is Cindy, by the way.
Oh, Cindy, okay. Did they say that in the movie? I don't think they say that.
No, but it says it on Wikipedia. I don't think they ever say it in the movie.
She, like, and it's kind of like a running gag. Only through that one scene. They should have kept it through the whole movie, but she's like, man, this is some macho bullshit going on here. But when they break through the door and then there is this couple having sex in the next room, if you pay attention, when they bust through the door into the room, you do see the girl naked, but when the sheets go off of the bed, the guy is on his hands and knees and the girl is behind him. And so you're kind of like, what is going? And so I think it's one of those things, like, you don't pick up, like, early, the first couple of times you see it, but then, like, when you're kind of, like, the last time I watched this, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to kind of look for weird stuff this time around to see if I can see anything. And that's one of the things that I was like, wait, what are they doing? What were they doing? That's kind of weird.
Right. Like, when you see that scene, it's like, what? Is that real? I remember as a kid, I was like, that can't be real.
They weren't real.
They weren't?
Well, I mean, I'm assuming they were, implants.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, well, now the next time I watch that, I'll be looking to see if I'm like, oh, I got to see if this girl's boobs are fake or not. Especially back in those days. I mean, you could really tell back then if they were fake or not. It's not like nowadays where you see somebody with fake boobs and you're like...
But these were like giant size. I mean, this was like... literally like cartoon size. That's how big they were. we'll have to analyze that scene a little more.
Yeah, or if somebody out there with knowledge of
Yeah, somebody give us some. Tell us, was that real or was that fake? And
right.
who is that actress?
There's got to be someplace somewhere that's got a listing of all of that stuff, like actresses that made random cameo. Like, oh, this girl was a waitress in L.A. and she got her big break when she flashed her tits in one movie and then was never in anything else again.
Right?
Because there's guys out there that like see movies like this, like Commando, and they're like, oh my god, that girl that was in the hotel scene, the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. What's her name?
Right.
So there's got to be somebody out there that's got a list of all that stuff.
I know. I'm sure there is somewhere.
So Commando, what do you give this one?
Oh my gosh. A huge thumbs up. I give this 2 giant boobies for sure.
I was trying to think of like, oh man, what could I say that would be in reference to big jugs? But you beat me to it. But yeah, I will agree 100% on that. Yeah, this is definitely a thumbs up movie. This is by far, I mean, this is everything we talk about when it comes to like beer and popcorn movies. I mean, this is not anything to take super seriously at all. This is just and this movie covers multiple, areas. So it's a beer and popcorn movie for sure. But at the same time, this is one of those ones, like, for me personally, I love it. I watch it a lot. But it's also one of those ones where if somebody is over, and maybe it's, somebody on the, coming from like us who were born and raised in the 80s, or not born, but raised in the 80s and, live and breathe 80s cinema history. When somebody younger is around and they're like, oh, yeah, you know any like good like action movies from the 80s? This is definitely one to throw on. Or if you like want to like, hey kids, you got to see this, you could throw this one on. Or it's just one, you're just like, oh, you know what? I need something on in the background while I do whatever. This is a movie for that situation as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is definitely one. This is a winner all the way. You're gonna totally enjoy it if you haven't seen it, and just kick back, grab some beer, pop some popcorn. It's a good time.